I have to confess that was my title first, until I realized it was Palm Sunday, and like, oh, okay, maybe I can work it all in. So I've worked it all into this. Letting go to celebrate the Christ light within, and that is the name of the talk today. So I'm going to begin this morning by giving a little bit of story about the Palm Sunday story. So this is what happened, and we have we are getting trained, are we not? Okay, we have a slide. There we go. So what happened is Jesus, or as he was called, Yeshua, has been teaching for some time already. And he was an activist. He challenged the status quo in what he taught, which was not the belief of the day. And this did not go down well with the powers that be. He taught the people of Israel the notion that the kingdom of God was within, that they were the light of the world and children of the living God, the loving God. And they loved him. He went to Jerusalem with his closest disciples and rode animals into town. He was on a donkey. When they got there, the crowds had gathered. He was like a rock star. They had gathered. Can you imagine? Remember when the Beatles came to the United States, and if you've been to any concerts recently, let's say Keith Urban or somebody. Okay, it was a rock star situation, and so he's coming to town, and they're all there, yay, and Hosanna, and they took their cloaks off, and they had these palm fronds, and they put them on the ground to keep the dust down. So when he and his disciples came through, they weren't all coated with the dust. Isn't that special? They loved him. They really loved him. And they wanted to honor their great teacher. So in the metaphysics of this, I want to share with you what I've learned. You think you know things, and it's always important to be open to learning more and to build on what we know. And this is what I learned and built on mine. Jerusalem symbolizes the consciousness of peace within us. Jesus symbolizes the I am, identity or awareness of our Christ nature. The donkey, our willingness to surrender to our Christ nature. The palms, spiritual strength and receptivity and zeal. We love that word. Crowds. Thoughts being raised to spiritual awareness. We celebrate that light, the Christ light within us. And the trip to Jerusalem is our willingness and our intention to release and let go of all of that which does not of our highest and best. So that's what's going on there. So speaking of letting go, how's your Lent going? We are on the downhill stretch of this Lenten season. Next week is Easter, as you know. And on this downhill stretch, it's never too late to begin. In fact, letting go is all year, all the time. In fact, for some of us, it may be a lifetime process, and maybe it's not. Maybe we have cleared and cleaned things up. We have let things go. Remember, the more we let go, the better we feel. We let go until we're free, free, free. And we have no wincing recollections, no sinking feelings of regret, no pesky grabbing of guts from shame or our need to forgive ourselves or someone else. Some of us carry our stuff physically, with stooped postures or extra pounds or scowls and frowns, while others manage to keep the lid on for stretches of time. I say stretches of time because it usually starts leaking out, you know what I'm talking about? You know, we're all somewhere in the process, from holding on for dear life to letting go to live life. To feel clean and clear, like a shiny sink, mirror, or gemstone, a great green pasture, a new flute. To be 100% confident to feel like an unobstructed waterfall, to be filled with self-worthiness. We release and let go of all that which does not belong to us and loose ourselves to our highest and best. We release and let go of the blocks, the stuff and the gunk, the too muchedness. We get out of the quicksand and we get out of our own ways. We walk away from being bogged down, buried, or beleaguered to embrace, create, and allow and receive our highest and best. But hey, nobody's perfect. Yep, but we strive to thrive. Yet sometimes some out of alignment, something or other happens in life, right? Pops up into our lives. Recently, I was reminded of this by both my mom and my husband, Ken, when I was feeling a little stress. We're not, any of us, perfect, but it's a process, and we want to strive to thrive. Because we want to feel clean and clear and free. Failure is just life moving us in another direction. This was something that Oprah said to the Harvard graduating class several years back in her speech to them. We start from where we are. We strive to thrive. And we began this Lent season talking about finding our own rhythms. In the fasting and feasting, the letting go and allowing ourselves to receive, we seek our own natural rhythm. We breathe in, we breathe out. Tied in, tied out. Barry played a beautiful rendition of Let It Go, and Melody and Bob played and sang Bob Burns' beautiful, amazing song, Letting Go. We truly heard the words in the Zen saying, I had no idea how much I was carrying until I let it go. When asked what he saw as the world's greatest problems by Oprah Winfrey, Prince Harry of England replied, climate change and mental wellness. On St. Patrick's Day, we talked about having a fasting and feasting for Green Lent. We talked about ditching the chemicals and the poisons so that they do not pass the thresholds of our sanctuaries, our yards, our homes, our cars, our bodies, our minds, our hearts, our spirits. There are many more things that we can do and many more things that we can begin with by having conversations. Whoever and whatever enters is conscious of and is of the pure and holy presence of God. And then we also embrace fasting on trash talk and feasting on worthy self-talk. Remember this? And if you're seeing it for the first time, I take your attention to the bottom right. Take your time, love. Tell yourself that when that inner coach or inner hound dog starts to chase you. Take your time, love. Be loving to yourself. We also saw and heard the move afoot. The move afoot for minimalism. The soulful longing for what is more simple in life, for what's real. The balance in every area of our lives. To turn away from distraction, fasting, and feasting, turning to focus on intentionally living our lives toward what we want to apply our thoughts, words, and actions. We made a tie-in with holistic wellness, and that would be holistic with a W. From struggling to thriving, struggling to break free from fill in the blank, to standing still, standing silently, to accept wholeness and wellness, physical and mental wellness, financial wellness, spiritual wellness, abundance. As above, so below. All things are connected, and everything affects everything else. I'm going to ask you to pay close attention to that, even repeat it if you feel the moved to do so. Everything affects everything, and it affects everything else. What we think, I'm going to move this over so I don't have to lean in like a tree here. Here we go. What we think affects how we feel, what we think, and it affects everything else. What we say affects how we feel, which affects how we think, and affects everything else. What we take into our body's temple affects how we feel, and affects how we think, and affects everything else. What we do affects how we feel, and that affects how we think, and that affects everything else. It affects everything, all these things, because we're all connected, and within us, in our own lives, everything is also connected. It's all connected. So let's ask you this. Oh, here we go. How's your letting go going? How's it going? How's it going out there? Okay, so perhaps you have identified an intention. I hope that you have identified something that is kind of giving you a little bugaboo and you want to let it go. And so this is, just for example, I'm going to show you chaos, and I want to also make it very clear there's no reason why I picked that. So, what fasting steps might you take to rid yourself and release yourself of this chaos? I'd like to suggest concrete steps. First of all, step back. Step out of the weeds, out of the whirlwind, and take a bigger view for clarity. And then also identify or inventory the what. So you can go through the wheat from the chaff. And then you're fasting. In this case, you're releasing and let go. You want to release and let go. Too much. Remember, we're releasing chaos. The too muchedness I've talked about before. The overwhelm. The no longer applicable in ideas, peoples, places, and things. And then we feast on these things. Refocus. This is how we're feasting. Or yes, how we're feasting. We're refocusing on the simple. And we repurpose. We change our perspective from lemons to lemonade. Old bird baths to cactus gardens. We say goodbye to, with love, all these things that we're letting go of. We say goodbye with love and bless them on their way. Donate, recycle, delete, toss. And what else do we fast from? From chaos, or maybe other things as well. We avoid the rabbit holes. Anybody get on social media and feel like they've gone down another one? We avoid the time-sucking water treading. And we feast on vigilant focus and prioritize our self-care. Remember the oxygen mask example? Anybody ever create more chaos in their lives and exhaustion, I might add, by saying a well-meaning yes to projects that overload your time and schedule? We fast from exhaustion and feast on reclaiming our lives. Now, another idea that you might use to release chaos from your life is seek solutions through spiritual means. What a concept, eh? And these are the feasting things you would do. Meditation, affirmations, prayer. Be your own watchdog, your own thought watchdog. We talked about that earlier. Transmute thoughts from trash talk to loving self-talk. Replace the intention, the feeling of it, the energy. Replace that. Choose well. When we're releasing chaos, we choose simple. What do we say? Keep it simple, sweetie. Choose well.
Yeah.
Choosing only the highest and best. And we transmute the OMGs, the oh my gods. We transmute those. We can visualize the cosmic pendulum swing into balance. That's a good visualization. the cosmic pendulum swinging into balance. If you feel like it's way over one way or the other, we're bringing it back into center. See and feel the planet, whole, healthy, and abundant. See and feel that person, whole. See and feel yourself whole, healthy, and happy. Perhaps you've identified an intention of letting go of dis-ease to focus on healing. What fasting steps might you take? You might ask yourself, what can I release which may be blocking my highest and best here? What can I let go of? What is that stubborn thing I have refused to let go of? I'm not letting go of that. Perhaps you would feast on an affirmation like this, and we thank Louise Hay very much for this one. I nourish myself with spiritual food, and I am satisfied and free. About letting go, I want to just remind everyone, and myself of course, we let go from the root to the symptom, or the symptom to the root, either way. We're letting it, the whole enchilada, as we like to say. As above, so below. We release the root as well as the symptoms. And I'd like to bring to you an image of bringing in, imagine a ray of healing light, zapping right into that, from that symptom to the root, or the root to the symptom. Either way, it's going all the way through the whole thing, and healing the whole thing. This creates room for thriving. Abraham Hicks recently, they send out every so often a thing, and I saw this one, caught my eye, and I kept wanting to, I was so busy, and I didn't want to, but I finally looked, thank God I looked, because I want to share it with you today. And they were talking about today's issues, healing today's issues. Deal with it in your now. Which thought feels better? Which thought feels better? Which thought feels better? How do we want to feel? How do you want to feel? We create new change in our vibration to make metaphorical soil fertile. How do I want to feel? New seeds we plant into this energy of our lives now thrive because of the work we've done. In other words, releasing makes way for our highest and best, to what we came here to do. Now, some of us believe in something I like to call the pre-life planning committee. Anybody heard of that before? Okay, all right. Well, hopefully I haven't gone too wild on you here, but some of us believe that we have this meeting, you see, and it's not really like a meeting with travel agents. It's more like you're meeting with your angels, your spiritual mentors, and your advisors. And you're getting together, and this is before you're born, and you're like sitting there, and you're kind of going around, and the energy is beautiful, and no doubt there's harps and things going on. And, the whole idea is, what lessons do I want to learn? Okay, what lessons am I coming in here for? What things will I do? What people will assist me? What people will I assist in their life plan? These are all elements of our divine matrices. Remember, we talked about the webs of light, our individual but connected webs of light. All in accordance and in balance with God's will and our free will. All in balance. Now, I would like to take a moment and read to you from, actually we have a slide as well. And I'm going to read this to you. It's going to be all so fun. You are unfettered, unbound, triumphant, glorious, and free. Do you feel bound by what you have been, bound by the past, bound by your lacks, bound by the picture you have created of yourself in your own mind and in the minds of others? The beginning of your freedom lies in your own mind. When you let go of limiting and binding thoughts, you find that conditions, persons, or circumstances no longer have power over you. Something in you knows that you are greater than anything you have ever yet experienced or expressed. The inner knowing, this feeling of potential greatness, is the Spirit of God in you trying to break through. It is like sunlight that may be temporarily hidden from the clouds behind the clouds, but the clouds cannot take away the light. Nothing can erase or lessen the light, bright, glorious, wonderful spirit that is in you. Realizing that you are essentially a spiritual being, you are able to step forth to be the self God created you to be. Thank you, Martha Smock, for that beautiful writing. So let's ask, let me add this again, which reiterate, to be the self God created you to be. So, who is that? What do you really want? Take a deep breath and give it the thought it deserves. What do you really want? If you are at a crossroads with your career or relationship, if you are struggling with finances or addiction, or taking control of your health, the journey to lasting change begins with what matters most to you. And this is from Oprah Winfrey's new book, The Path Made Clear. Recently, I was at a writers group meeting, and there was an author friend of mine in the group, and he was very frustrated. He said, if only I could find my niche. In just moments before that, he was lit up like a marquee talking about a trip that he and his wife had taken to Africa. I'm like, we got a clue here. So what lights you up? What lights you up? Admit it. Don't you just love this? Don't you just love this letting go of that business? It's like getting rid of your old, noisy, ill-tempered icebox to make room for that sparkly new Mrs. Jetson's refrigerator. Isn't that awesome? It's like opening that box with the shiny new toy that you've been waiting for all year long. Don't you just love this letting go business? And replacing it with our highest and best? That's why we're letting this go, to be a whole, happy and complete. What's the best that could happen? And so it is. Amen. Thank you so much. Meditation. And as we do, I would like to bring your attention again to that ray of light, God's light. See it as a shower. You're in the shower and God's light is coming over you, flowing over you. This light, delicate light of love and healing. Yet it penetrates every needful cell, every bit of you, every atom. Feel it coming over your head and down your body, and allow it to pool now, pooling at your feet, this healing, loving light. Feel this energy as it moves into your ankles and heals your legs, strengthens every joint, all the joints, flexible and strong, strengthening and healing the veins in the legs and the joints into the hips. Feel this energy now as it settles into the bases of our spines and moves into our lower abdomen. And we know that every organ, every tissue, everything is doing its job happily working, doing its job, loving its work, loving its purpose, and healing this energy of God, this loving, healing light, soothing and healing everything. Everything is perfect, happy, and whole, and moving up into our upper abdomen and up our spines, up our hands and into our wrists, and up our arms and into our shoulders. Feel this energy now as it centers into our chest, into our hearts. Feel this compassion and this love in our hearts for ourselves, and we forgive ourselves for anything, and we replace that with love. We give up all those things that do not belong to us, and we replace it with this love, this healing, loving light of God. And let this beautiful energy grow and build and move into our shoulder joints, healing them. We are strong and flexible in every joint. And the muscles of our shoulders relax as we release and let go all those things that do not belong to us. They just don't belong to us, so we let them go. And feel the waves of healing as they move through our shoulder muscles, relaxing and healing them. And the energy now, as it moves up our necks and around the beginning, the front of our necks, into the throats. Our throat, feel that energy settling there. Know that every word we speak is strong, filled with wisdom and love and compassion and kindness. We speak with those. And the energy now, relaxing the jaw muscles, the joints, and moving over our face, relaxing that forehead, relaxing the muscles in our scalps, behind in the back of our head and over our head, so that we are filled from the tips of our toes to the top of our head, filled with this beautiful light, the beautiful healing, loving light of God. And feel it as it moves from us to the person next to us, and the person's next to them. So this entire sanctuary is filled with this loving energy. The Christ light expands through this building and into the world, surrounding this entire world, so that every needful thing is met, every hurt is touched, every healing done. Feel this energy as it surrounds the globe, healing our planet, feeling that beautiful, whole, healthy planet. We see it alive and breathing, happy and healthy, whole and complete, as are we. And we bring our attention back to here, back to where we are in our seats, back to where our feet rest on the floor, back to our hands. Feel the tingling, healing energy. Feel it here. And know that all is well. And so it is. Amen.